We're just going to take a minute or so here just at the start of the first match of this league just to discuss what we expect to happen moving forwards with the Deathrite Shaman and Gataxian Probe ban. So first things first, the Deathrite Shaman ban. I know there was a lot of talk around that Deathrite Shaman was potentially holding back Storm. I personally was never somebody who felt that it had a particularly large impact. It could slow you down some games, but generally Deathrite Shaman on his own was not enough to stop you from being able to go off or being able to win the game. He was a clock more than anything else. He could be somewhat disruptive, but he was never the fundamental problem that he was for something like perhaps Canadian Threshold. Gataxian Probe, on the other hand, is a different problem. Gataxian Probe, we know moving forward is going to slow us down. It was always, I think, more relevant for the free Storm than the free Information. It made Cabal Therapy a much better card, and we'll see how many, if any, Cabal Therapies will wind up being played in the future in Storm decks. But I think to begin with, all Storm decks are going to slow down. They're going to start playing more cantrips and a little bit more discard. It's kind of hard to completely anticipate accurately how much that free Storm mattered, but it does just change a bunch of lines for us. It makes, I think, Empty the Warrens a little bit worse. You have one less Storm for it. People have talked about non-deterministic Past in Flames. I've generally found that they're more determined on how much mana you have access to, but I do understand drawing free cards and the lack of being able to do that is going to change things as well. Anyway, having said that, let's get the game started. I'll skip a little bit ahead here and we'll get on to game one of our first match. Okay, we win the die roll and we get a very nice Gataxian Probe Therapy hand. So this hand's more than capable. We've got 2 free redraws and we've got some turn 1 interaction on the play. We're soft to Blood Moon, but we might be able to take the Blood Moon, and depending on how many Blood Moon effects there are, we might be able to deal with that anyway. And lo and behold, we're playing against a Blood Moon deck. We're playing against Dragon Stompy, so we're just going to start by taking that Magus of the Moon. That's the only real threat in his hand at the moment. The Fiery Confluences, they're big and there's 2 of them, but I don't think they're going to be the reason we win or lose the game. I don't think he's going to get enough time to... If he gets enough time to fire off both of them, then we're very, very, very behind anyway. There's possibly an argument to taking the Chrome Mox there to stop him from being able to have a turn 1 play. I'm not so crush hot on that, just because I think they have Simian Spirit Guides and Chrome Moxes. All they need to do is draw 1 more piece of interaction and we're in trouble. Goblin Rabble Master also is a problem for us. That puts us on a very fast clock. Brainstorm, on the other hand, is very helpful. So we will Gataxian Probe for life. At the moment, all we're trying to do is just make sure that we can beat the Rabble Master. And I think what we want to do is next turn we're going to Infernal Tutor for Dark Ritual, and then play a Dark Ritual off a Lotus Petal. And then we're going to be able to go something like second tutor, lion's eye diamond, infernal tutor, grab past in flames, and that should be deterministic. This Rabble Master here is just proving to be a little bit too slow. It's going to be able to punch in for 6, it's going to leave us on 8, and our opponent's going to be able to fiery confluence us on here, which is going to leave us on 2. Oh, our Magus of the Moon. Okay. Magus of the Moon we can quite comfortably beat. And from here it's just a fairly simple piff loop. Yeah, and I think it should leave us with Lethal Storm +1. We could have got a little bit more enjoyment out of our Gitaxian probes there if we'd wanted, but not really much point. It's just showboating at that point. Alright, so post-board we're going to cut our therapies just because they're not amazing here. Bring in Decays, Chains, and Echoing Truths. And empty the Warrens. Despite the fact that empty is mediocre here, you end up in positions where you either want to go off fairly early on minimal resources, or you think you can just race you think you're in a position to race the possibility of a fiery confluence. Echoing Truth and Chain of Vapor are fairly logical. It's just, ways to bounce lock pieces, anything but Chalice for Chain of Vapor, and then Echoing Truth can hit Chalice. And we're cutting Preordains just because we don't want to have the locked out of the game by Chalice on 1 experience, and we're favouring Cabal Ritual over that. We're going to keep this hand. It's fine. It's hinging fairly heavily on drawing something good or being able to brainstorm into something good. But we have Lion's Eye Diamond, we have a 2-mana Ritual, and we have a basic Swamp. So we are not soft to Blood Moon. We probably are able to beat Chalice on 1, assuming we draw well. So I think we can work with this. Opponent's leading on a Chrome Mox, which normally means that there's something exciting happening turn 1. But then they have to pass. And we're going to now pedal into Brainstorm here. I wonder if maybe we should Polluted Delta into Brainstorm. So we're trying to find a Dark Ritual here. And we don't find a Dark Ritual, but we do find another Lotus Petal. And that will give us now enough Storm for an Empty the Warrens with a 2-turn clock. Which I think is good enough for us to gamble on, given our opponent doesn't have a land. So from here they'd need to find something like land, Soul Land, Fiery Confluence would have to be would have to be in the cards for them soon, on the cards for them soon. And if they're missing just any one of those pieces, then this is just deterministic. And we get there.